There are wounds that never really heal. Not because we're weak, not because we don't want to move on, but because they taught us never to turn the other cheek again. I was 19, one foot still in adolescence, and the other just stepping into the adult world I barely understood. I was balancing between responsibilities and dreams. I still lived with my mother. A small, modest apartment, 2 bedrooms, a worn-out living room, a kitchen that always smelled of cold coffee and memories. It wasn't luxury, but it was ours. Not out of dependence, no, but because at that age, life is a delicate fight between what you dream of and what you can actually afford. I was in my first year of college. Modern literature. I read more than I spoke, and I dreamed of one day writing something that would change the world. But in the meantime, I worked. I had a job at a small local restaurant in the evenings. Wore a black apron that was too big, forced smiles at rushed customers, scrubbed sticky tables, and got home after midnight with sore legs. But I was free, and I had plans. That's when he entered our lives. Mark. Smooth talker, always well-dressed. The kind of guy who walks into a room and draws attention without raising his voice. Perfect teeth, sleek glasses, a golden watch that shimmered when he moved his wrist. He had met my mother at work. She was a nurse. He said he was an entrepreneur. She told me about their first encounter like a movie scene. A stuck elevator, a shared moment, exchanged numbers. The night she brought him home, she was nervous. She cooked a dish she never made, changed outfits 3 times. Then she looked at me with a hesitant smile and said, "Be nice to him, okay?" I nodded, out of respect, out of curiosity, mostly out of love for her. When he arrived, he smiled. One of those smiles that mean everything and nothing at the same time. He called me princess in the first minute, said I was the spitting image of my mother, laughed loudly, too loudly, at jokes I hadn't even made. And I just looked at him, didn't say anything, but deep inside, something whispered, "Be careful." At first, I tried to make an effort. After all, my mother looked happy, and God knows she hadn't had much luck in love. So I told myself, give him a chance. But there was something in the way he looked at me, the way he greeted me, how his hand lingered too long on my shoulder, how he invited himself into conversations, how he always wanted to know where I was going, with who, and why. I didn't want to be paranoid, didn't want to ruin the fragile peace in the house. But the things he did, the way he spoke, the way I felt, it wasn't normal. One day, I came home earlier than expected. He was there, alone, sitting in the living room. He looked at me slowly, like someone staring at something they want to claim. Then he said, "You know, you're a beautiful woman too." I didn't respond. I fled to my room, my throat tight, hands ice cold, heart racing. That was the last straw. That night, I told my mother everything. Every touch, every word, every time he made me uncomfortable. I thought she would explode, stand up, throw him out. But what I saw broke me more than anything he had ever done. She looked at me, eyes full of anger, and said, "Stop making things up. You're jealous. You just want to ruin my relationship." I stood there, frozen, like a child whose voice has just been taken. I searched her eyes for doubt, even a flicker, but there was none. She believed him, not me. The next morning, she woke me up early, told me to pack my things, that I was no longer welcome, that as long as I lied, I couldn't stay under her roof. So I packed everything, my clothes, my memories, and what was left of my heart. I walked out, alone, 2 bags and a lump in my throat. The first days were the hardest. There's nothing more violent than waking up one day and having nowhere to call home. I had just 2 bags, one for clothes, one for my books and notebooks, and a suitcase full of pain no one could see. That first night, I crashed at a friend's place, a small couch in a room shared with 2 cats. I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, wondering what I had done to deserve this. The next morning, I went to class, put on a little makeup, tied my hair, and wore a smile that didn't exist. No one knew. No one noticed. And that's the worst part. After class, I rushed to work, smiled at customers like everything was fine, cleaned tables like I wasn't falling apart. And at night, sometimes I slept in a borrowed car, sometimes in a storage room on a mattress, sometimes just in silence with music loud enough to drown out my thoughts. I could have broken. I could have given up. But something in me ignited, a kind of rage, a refusal to let them win. So I kept going, even tired, even alone, even broken, and little by little, my life changed. I found a small room, got a better job, landed an internship at a serious company, then a contract, a real salary, and above all, a pride no one could take away from me. Meanwhile, Mark was still up to his tricks, but this time with one of my mother's friends. Yes, her friend, the one who came over for coffee and complained about her exes, the one my mom called her soul sister. One day, my mom came home early, and there they were, Mark, her friend, in the living room, in her living room. She screamed, smashed glasses, threw things, cursed him, cried. She kicked him out, cut ties with her friend. Weeks later, she called me, then came to my place. She was shaking, her eyes red, and she said, "I'm sorry. You were right. I betrayed you. Please forgive me." But me, I was somewhere else, looking at the woman who once chose a man over her own daughter. I thought about every night I had no roof. Every morning I had to pretend I was fine. Every time I had prayed she would stand by me. And I said, "I'm doing just fine without you. I have a good job, a good life, and I don't need a mother who's capable of turning her back on her daughter for a man." She lowered her head, and she left, without a word, maybe ashamed, maybe empty, maybe just too late. Since that day, I live free, at peace. I have my own apartment now, furniture I chose, a desk bathed in morning light, where I read, where I write, where I build the life I dreamed of when I was alone. I have true friends, a gentle partner, and above all, an inner peace no one can take from me, because I've understood one essential thing. I am my own refuge. I am the one who stood back up when no one lifted me, the one who built something beautiful from the rubble they left behind, and I don't need anyone who couldn't choose me when it mattered.